The mistake, 47 Krillon warships dropped out of faster-than-light travel 8 million kilometers from New Britannia. Their crimson and black holes gleamed under the light of the colony's sun. Each vessel stretched nearly a kilometer long. Battle-scarred, victory proven, undefeated in 400 years of conquest. On the command deck of the flagship Crimson Fang Warlord, Krevnar watched his tactical display with the satisfaction of a predator eyeing wounded prey. His amber eyes tracked the colony world rotating slowly on the view screen. 15 million humans lived down there. Soft creatures, no natural armor, no claws, no fangs. They had built cities and farms on 3 worlds that belonged to the Krellon Empire by ancient right. Today they would learn their place. Tactical Officer Krevinar's voice rumbled through the bridge, deep, commanding, the voice of someone who had never lost a battle. Report on defensive forces. A younger Krellon scale still bright with youth studied his console. 12 human ships in defensive orbit Warlord. Destroyer-class vessels. Estimated crew 600 total. Analysis shows inferior weapons technology. Outdated shield generators. Slow maneuvering thrusters. Krevnar allowed himself a thin smile. His jaw could crush steel. His claws could tear through bulkheads. He stood 3 meters tall. These humans barely reached his chest. Their ships were like toys. This would be over before the sun set on New Britannia's capital city. Open a channel to the planet. Let them see what power looks like. The communications officer worked his console. A moment passed, then another. Warlord, they're not responding to our hail. Krevnar's eyes narrowed. Not responding, they see 47 warships, and they ignore us. Yes, Warlord, their communication systems are active. They're simply not accepting our transmission. Interesting. Perhaps the humans needed a demonstration. Krevnar leaned forward in his command chair, massive clawed hands gripping the armrests. Target the primary city, not the city itself. Fire 1 plasma bolt 300 meters north of their Capitol building. A warning shot. Let them feel the heat. Let them see what defiance costs. The weapons officer locked coordinates. Targeting confirmed. Firing. A brilliant streak of superheated plasma lanced from the Crimson Fang's main cannon. The bolt screamed toward New Britannia's atmosphere. Krevnar watched it descend. In 15 seconds, dirt and stone would vaporize. A crater 200 meters wide would appear. The shockwave would shatter windows for kilometers. The humans would see that mushroom cloud and understand. 15 seconds became 14. Then everything went wrong. A beam of intense white light shot up from the planet's surface. Coherent, focused, moving at the speed of light itself. It struck the plasma bolt mid-flight and dissipated it in a flash of energy that lit up every sensor on the Krellon flagship. Krevnar stood. What was that? His tactical officer's claws scrambled across his console. Analysis shows, Warlord, that was a high-energy particle beam. Ground-based. The power reading is 340% above what our intelligence reports indicated the humans possessed. 340%. Krevnar felt something cold settle in his gut. Something he hadn't felt in decades. Uncertainty. Before he could speak, alarms shrieked throughout the ship. Red lights flashed across every console. His tactical officer's voice cracked with shock. Warlord, multiple contacts. They're emerging from the asteroid field. The main view screen shifted to tactical display. Krevnar watched in disbelief as 20 human warships appeared on sensors. They hadn't jumped from FTL. They'd been there all along. Sitting in the asteroid belt. Silent, dark, invisible. How did we not detect them? They were running completely silent, Warlord. No power signatures, no heat emissions, no active sensors. They were drifting like dead rocks. Our scans categorized them as asteroids and filtered them out. Krevnar stared at the display. 20 ships. They'd been waiting there. In the cold. In the dark. For how long? His sensor officer answered the unspoken question. Warlord, based on thermal decay analysis, those ships have been in position for at least 23 days. 23 days. These soft, weak humans had sat in freezing darknesses for 23 days. Waiting, preparing, planning. The human ships came alive, their engines burned bright, but they didn't move forward in formation like proper warships. They scattered, in every direction, moving in patterns that made no tactical sense. Chaotic, unpredictable, fast, much faster than the intelligence reports had indicated. All ships, Krevnar commanded, his voice steady despite the ice spreading through his veins. Engage the enemy. Show these humans how real warriors fight. The Krellon fleet moved to intercept, massive vessels turning with ponderous grace. They were built for power, for endurance, for breaking enemy lines through sheer overwhelming force. The humans were built for something else entirely. They darted between the Krylon ships like insects, too quick to track, too small to predict. They fired and ran, attacked and vanished, refused to stand and fight like honorable opponents. Cowards, someone shouted from across the bridge, but cowardly or not, it was working. One of Krevnar's ships, the Bone Crusher, suddenly went dark. A human vessel had shot past it at incredible speed. Something had punched straight through the Bone Crusher's shields. What hit them? Analysis shows kinetic projectile warlord, a solid mass, metal, accelerated to 0.03 the speed of light. Krevnar understood immediately. Their shields were designed to stop energy weapons, plasma, particle beams, coherent light. A physical object moving at tremendous velocity went through them like they weren't even there. Who used metal slugs in space combat? Apparently humans did. More alarms, another ship reporting damage. Then another. The humans were using multiple types of weapons, switching between lasers, missiles, and those devastating kinetic rounds. They weren't giving the Krylons time to adapt, time to adjust shield frequencies, time to think. Warlord were detecting mines. The humans seeded the space around the planet with mines. 3 Krylon ships on the flank exploded as they hit hidden weapons. The mines weren't nuclear, they were worse. Shaped charges, designed to channel explosive force in a narrow cone, designed to punch through armor at close range. Krevnar had fought for 28 years. He'd commanded fleets in 17 campaigns. He'd conquered 4 species. He'd never felt confused in battle before. Now he did. The humans were fighting without honor, without rules, using every dirty trick imaginable. Ambush, deception, traps, suicide tactics. A small human ship shot directly toward the Crimson Fang. Finally, a direct confrontation. Target that vessel and destroy it. His weapons officer fired. The plasma bolt shot toward the human ship. But at the last second, the vessel decelerated hard. The bolt missed. The ship immediately accelerated again, closing the distance. It's not firing, Warlord. It's just flying straight at us. Too late, Krevnar realized what was happening. Evasive maneuvers. The human ship slammed into the Crimson Fang's shields at full velocity and detonated. Not a conventional explosion. A fusion bomb. The ship had turned itself into a miniature star. The blast overloaded the flagship's shields. They flickered, failed. Hull breaches tore open on 4 decks. Atmosphere vented into space. Alarms screamed. Damage reports flooded in. Someone on the bridge shouted, "They're insane. They used their own ship as a bomb." Krevnar stared at the tactical display. What kind of species sacrificed their own people like that? What kind of warriors turned their vessels into weapons? What kind of enemy valued destroying you more than surviving themselves? More human ships were approaching. Small objects dropped from their hulls. Thousands of them. Drones, Warlord. Autonomous attack drones. The machines swarmed over the Krylon ships like mechanical insects. Targeting sensors, weapons, engines. They were too small to effectively fight, too numerous to stop. For every drone destroyed, 3 more took its place. Then came the railgun barrage. From positions far outside the battle zone, weapons platforms that had been completely hidden began firing. Long metal rods, accelerated to relativistic speeds. They came streaking through space like the wrath of an angry god. Each impact hit with the force of a tactical nuclear weapon. Kinetic energy didn't care about shields. Kinetic energy just cared about mass and velocity. And these slugs had both. A Krylon cruiser took a direct hit. The rod punched through the ship from bow to stern. The vessel broke in half. All ships, Krevnar finally ordered, his voice tight. Retreat, fall back to rally point Omega. His crew stared at him. Retreat, the Krylon Empire didn't retreat. Now, the fleet turned and ran, their great warships limping away from the human colony. Behind them, 12 Krylon vessels floated dead in space. Hulls torn open, crew dead or dying. Thousands of warriors who would never return home. As the Crimson Fang jumped to faster than light speed, Krevnar stared at the damage reports scrolling across his console. 12 ships lost. 12. Against an enemy with inferior numbers and supposedly primitive technology. His communications officer spoke quietly. Warlord, we're receiving a transmission from the human colony. It's being broadcast to the entire fleet. Put it on screen. A human appeared, male, young, 30 years old perhaps, wearing a dark uniform with insignia Krevnar didn't recognize. The human had short dark hair, brown eyes, no visible scars, no battle trophies, nothing to indicate he was a warrior of any significance. But his expression was calm, almost bored, like he'd just completed a routine training exercise rather than the first defeat of Kralon forces in 400 years. This is Commander Desmond Holt of the United Earth Federation. His voice was measured, professional, utterly without fear. Warlord Krevnar, you came to our home expecting us to surrender. Instead, you learned the first lesson about fighting humans. The human paused, let the silence stretch. We don't fight fair, we fight to win. Another pause. The human's eyes seemed to look directly into Krevnar's soul. This was just one colony, defended by one small battle group. We have 73 colonies, and the entire Earth Defense Fleet. The human's expression hardened. Come at us again and we'll show you what real war looks like. This is your only warning. The transmission ended. Krevnar sat in silence for a long moment. His bridge crew waited. No one spoke. Finally, he turned to his communications officer. Send a message to Empress Zarkaith. Tell her we need more ships, many more ships, and tell her that everything we thought we knew about humans was wrong. 96 hours earlier, Ambassador Kira Thorne stood in the Grand Chamber of the Galactic Council. The circular room stretched high above her, filled with beings from across the galaxy. 53 species. Some had scales, others had fur. A few seemed to be made of living crystal. One looked like a floating jellyfish the size of a truck. All of them were looking at her with expressions she'd learned to read in 5 years of diplomatic service. Pity, condescension, and something worse, dismissal. Kira kept her hands clasped behind her back, not submission. She'd learned that gesture at Quantico 2 decades ago when she'd been a young Air Force officer. Hands behind your back kept them from trembling, kept you from making nervous gestures, projected calm confidence even when your heart was pounding. Right now, her heart was pounding. Ambassador Thorne, High Counselor Thexarin, spoke from his elevated platform. His reptilian features showed no emotion, but his voice carried the weight of finality. The Council has heard your request for military assistance. We have reached our decision. Kira had been Earth's representative to the Galactic Council for 5 years. Before that, she'd served 12 years in the United States Air Force. Before that, she'd grown up in Colorado, daughter of an Air Force colonel who taught her 2 things: how to play chess and how to read a room. She could read this room. This was not going to go well. The Kralon Empire has issued a legitimate territorial claim, Thexarin continued. While we understand your people have settled those 3 worlds, the Kralons discovered them first according to ancient star charts that predate human space exploration by 6,000 years. Kira felt something cold settle in her stomach. Counselor, those worlds have been inhabited by humans for 43 years. 15 million people live there. We've built cities, farms, schools, medical centers. Families have been born there, children who've never seen Earth. Those worlds are their homes. A massive creature that resembled a floating jellyfish spoke from the left side of the chamber. Counselor Vishara. Kira had learned to hate that voice. Soft, condescending, dripping with false sympathy. Ambassador Thorne, your species is new to the galaxy. You must understand that the Kralons are a warrior race. They have never lost a war in 400 years. 17 species have fallen to them. It is better to negotiate, to find a peaceful solution, to give them what they want rather than fight. Kira turned to face the speaker. She was 1.65 meters tall, small by galactic standards. No scales, no armor plating, no great physical strength. Her ancestors had been persistence hunters on the African savanna. They'd won by being smarter, by planning better, by refusing to give up. She channeled every bit of that ancestral stubbornness now. Counselor Vashra, are you saying the Council will not help us defend our own people? We are saying, Thexarin interrupted, that violence is not the answer. Humanity has been part of this Council for 23 years. In that time, you have shown remarkable skills in art culture and diplomacy. You are a soft species ambassador, or you have no natural weapons, no armor plating, no great physical strength. He gestured toward a holographic display showing a Kralon warrior, 3 meters tall, covered in scales that looked like natural armor, claws that could tear through metal, jaws that could crush bone. The Kralons are 3 times your size. They are born warriors. Every one of them is stronger than your strongest human. Fighting them is not just inadvisable, it is unthinkable. Another counselor spoke up. one who looked vaguely insectoid. Kira didn't know the species name, didn't care. The Council does not interfere in territorial disputes of this nature, Ambassador. Most species find a way to coexist with the Kralons. We strongly recommend you negotiate a peaceful transfer of the colonies. Allow your people to relocate to other worlds. The Kralon Empire may even provide assistance with the evacuation. Kira felt anger burning in her chest, not the hot anger that made you shout, the cold anger that made you dangerous. She'd felt this anger before, in the cockpit of an F-35 locked onto an enemy target, in the command center during the Mars Independence War watching friends die on tactical displays. This was the anger that made decisions. So we should just give up, Kira said quietly. Abandon our homes, leave everything we've built, because you're afraid of the Kralons. We are being realistic, Ambassador, Thexaren said. The Council has analyzed every conflict the Kralons have engaged in for the past 4 centuries. They have never lost, not once. The mathematics are clear. Resistance is futile. The doors to the chamber suddenly opened with a loud bang. Every being in the room turned. Warlord Krevnar entered. His massive form filled the doorway. Dark crimson scales caught the light. Amber eyes scanned the chamber like a predator surveying a hunting ground. He wore armor that had seen countless battles. Dents, scratches, burn marks, each one a story of victory. He moved with the confidence of someone who had never known defeat. 2 smaller Kralons followed him. Guards, each carrying weapons that hummed with barely contained energy. Krevnar's eyes found Kira, locked onto her. She was barely half his height. He could kill her with one hand, snap her neck like a twig, crush her skull like an egg. She didn't step back. Ah! His voice rumbled through the chamber like distant thunder. The human ambassador. I came to hear your answer personally. Kira turned to face him fully, chin raised, shoulders back. Military posture, her father's voice in her head. Never show weakness, Anera. Never give ground you don't have to give. Warlord Krevnar, she said, her voice steady, clear, carrying across the chamber. Humanity's answer is no. We will not abandon our colonies. The chamber fell silent. Several counselors shifted uncomfortably. Krevnar stared at her for a long moment, then threw his head back and laughed. The sound echoed through the chamber like rolling thunder. Deep, mocking, the laugh of someone who'd heard the same defiance from 16 other species before crushing them into dust. You will fight us. He leaned down, bringing his massive head close to hers. His breath smelled like copper and smoke. Your species has no fangs, no claws, no strength. I have seen your military reports, little human. Your ships are slow, your weapons are primitive, your soldiers are fragile creatures that break easily. He straightened, looked around the chamber at the assembled council. The council is right to call you a soft species. Then back to Kira. In 48 hours, my fleet will arrive at your colony of New Britannia. Your people can leave peacefully, or they can die. The choice is yours. Kira didn't flinch, didn't blink, looked directly into those amber eyes that had watched worlds burn. Then I suppose you'll learn something about humans that the council doesn't know. Krevnar's eyes narrowed. And what is that, little human? We don't like bullies. He laughed again, turned to leave, paused at the doorway. Your bravery is admirable, Ambassador Thorn, but bravery without strength is just foolishness. My fleet will arrive in 48 hours. I look forward to your surrender. The massive Kralon left. His guards followed. The doors closed. Kira waited until she couldn't hear his footsteps anymore, then turned back to the council. Thexaren spoke carefully. Ambassador Thorn, please reconsider. The Kralons have conquered 17 species. You cannot win. Kira looked at him, really looked at him, this ancient reptilian being who'd seen thousands of years pass, who probably thought he'd seen everything the galaxy had to offer. High Counselor, I have a question. In the 400 years the Kralons have been conquering worlds, has anyone ever fought back? Really fought back? Thexaren seemed confused. Most species engage in some defensive battles, yes, but the Kralons always win. That's not what I asked. Kira took a step forward. Has anyone fought a total war against them? Has anyone made them bleed for every inch of ground? Has anyone made them afraid? Afraid? Vashra's voice was shocked. Ambassador war in the galaxy is a civilized affair. We have rules. We have honor. We have... You have rules, Kira interrupted, her voice cutting, sharp. We have history. She pulled out a small communication device. The council watched, silent. tense, waiting. Kira pressed a button. "This is Ambassador Thorne. I'm returning to Earth immediately. Contact Admiral Calloway. Protocol Omega is authorized. All phases. Repeat, all phases." The chamber exploded with voices. Counselors demanding explanation. Thexarin calling for order. Kira ignored them, started walking toward the exit. "Ambassador," Thexarin's voice carried over the noise. "What is Protocol Omega?" Kira stopped, turned, looked at the 53 species represented in that chamber. Beings from across the galaxy, ancient civilizations, advanced technologies, millennia of accumulated wisdom, and none of them understood what was about to happen. "Protocol Omega," she said quietly, her voice somehow carrying through the chaos, "is what happens when you back a peaceful species into a corner." She let that sink in. "The Council wanted us to be diplomats. We tried. But if the Kralons want war, then war is what they'll get. Not the civilized kind you're used to." Her expression hardened. "Real war. Human war. You cannot win," Thexarin said. "Maybe not," Kira admitted. "But I promise you this, High Counselor. If we go down, we're taking them with us. And every species in this galaxy will learn a very important lesson about humanity." "What lesson?" Vashra asked. Kira walked toward the exit, her footsteps echoing in the suddenly silent chamber. At the door, she turned back one final time. "That we may be soft on the outside, but when you push us, you'll find something very hard underneath." She paused. Let them see her expression. The cold determination, the absolute certainty. The Krellans wanted a fight. They're about to discover what happens when you pick a fight with a species that spent 10,000 years fighting itself. The door closed behind her. In the chamber, 53 species sat in stunned silence, wondering, uncertain, afraid. What had they just unleashed? Kira walked through the corridors of the council station, her heels clicking on polished floors, alien beings moving aside as she passed. She kept her expression calm, professional, diplomatic. Inside, her mind was racing. She thought of New Britannia. Population 15 million. Her sister Lena lived there. Dr. Lena Thorne, xenobiologist, studying the native ecosystem, building a life, raising her daughter Maya, 8 years old, bright, curious, loved drawing pictures of alien plants. Kira had promised to visit next month, had promised Maya she'd teach her to play chess. Now her sister and niece had 48 hours before a Krillon fleet arrived. She reached her ship, a small diplomatic vessel, fast, unarmed, not built for war. Her pilot was waiting, Lieutenant Marcus Webb, young, competent, one of the few military personnel allowed on Council Station. "Ma'am," he saluted, "we received your transmission. Admiral Calloway confirms Protocol Omega is active. He's requesting immediate secure communication. Get us into space first. Maximum burn for Earth. We've got 48 hours and 800 light years to cover." "Yes, ma'am." The ship lifted off, accelerated, jumped to FTL. In her cabin, Kira sat down, opened a secure channel. Admiral Garrett Calloway's face appeared on the screen. 62 years old, gray hair, a scar running across his left cheek from the Mars Independence War. He'd been fighting for humanity since before Kira was born. Kira, his Texas accent was subtle, controlled, but she could hear the tension underneath. "Protocol Omega, all phases. You sure about this?" The Council refused to help. The Kralons issued a 48-hour ultimatum. New Britannia's first. Then they'll come for the others. "Your sister's on New Britannia." "I know." Calloway was quiet for a moment. "All right, Phase 1 is already active. Commander Holt has been in position at New Britannia for 23 days. All assets deployed. He's ready. Phase 2. Weapons are being loaded onto every ship we have. The new ones, the ones the Council doesn't know about. Phase 3. Calloway's expression darkened. "Kira, are you absolutely certain Phase 3 means we cross a line? Once we cross it, there's no going back. The galaxy will never see us the same way again." Kira thought of Maya, 8 years old, drawing pictures of alien flowers, laughing, playing, living a peaceful life on a colony world 43 light years from Earth. "The Kralons crossed the line when they threatened our children, Admiral. Execute all phases. No holding back, no restraint. If they want war, we give them war. They'll never forget." "Understood." Calloway out. The screen went dark. Kira sat alone in her cabin, looking out the viewport at stars streaking past at impossible speeds. Somewhere ahead, Earth waited. Behind her, New Britannia counted down the hours. And somewhere in between, Protocol Omega was coming to life. The Kralons thought humans were soft, weak, easy prey. They were about to learn the truth. Humans didn't have claws. They had something much worse. They had 10,000 years of practice at killing each other, and they'd gotten very, very good at it. The 48-hour countdown had begun. The escalation of the Imperial throne room aboard the Kralon dreadnought, Eternal Victory, had been designed to inspire fear. Walls of polished obsidian stretched 40 meters high. Pillars carved from the bones of conquered worlds supported a ceiling painted with images of Kralon triumphs. 400 years of victory, 17 species brought to heel. Empress Zarketh sat on her throne at the center of it all, massive, ancient. Her scales had darkened to deep crimson with age. Each one was a plate of natural armor harder than steel. Her eyes were the color of molten gold. She had ruled the Kralon Empire for 63 years. In that time, she had never known defeat. Until now. The holographic display flickered in front of her. Battle footage from New Britannia. For the third time, she watched Kralon ships burning. Watched them retreat. Watched humans, soft, weak, pathetic humans, send her warriors running like frightened children. Her claws dug into the armrests of her throne. The metal groaned, bent. She'd destroyed 3 chairs this way over the past 6 hours. Rage did that. Humiliation did that. 12 ships, 12 of her finest warships, destroyed by a colony defense force, by prey animals playing at war. Warlord Krevnar knelt before her, head bowed, posture showing shame. He'd been kneeling for 10 minutes, waiting. Warriors lined the walls, silent, watching, judging. Explain to me, Zarketh's voice was barely above a whisper. Somehow that was more terrifying than a roar. How you lost 12 ships to these prey animals. Empress, Krevnar's voice was steady, controlled. The humans do not fight as we expected. They use deception, ambush, weapons we have never encountered. They are nothing. Zarketh stood. The movement shook the floor. She descended from her throne. Each step echoed like a death knell. They have no claws, no scales, no strength. They are weak, fragile. Their bones break, their skin tears. They die so easily. She stopped in front of Krevnar, towering over him even as he knelt. And yet you fled from them. Empress, I take full responsibility for. You do not take responsibility. You take orders. She turned away, paced, her tail lashing behind her. Summon the Grand Armada. I want every available warship, every dreadnought, every carrier, every destroyer. Her tactical advisor stepped forward, an older Kralon, veteran of 50 campaigns. Empress, mobilizing the Grand Armada will leave our borders exposed. It will cost. I don't care what it cost. Her roar filled the chamber, made warriors flinch. These humans humiliated us. They made us retreat. For the first time in 400 years, Kralon warriors turned their backs and fled. She pointed at the holographic display, at the image of Commander Desmond Holt, young, human, unremarkable, the being who had sent her fleet running. They think they won. They think their little victory means something. We will show them what happens when you defy the Kralon Empire. We will bring overwhelming force. We will crush them so completely that every species in this galaxy remembers you do not challenge Kralon power. What is our target, Empress? Krevnar asked. Proxima Station, their most important colony outside their home system. 8 million humans, industrial centers, shipyards, communication hubs. When we destroy it, they will understand the price of defiance. She returned to her throne, sat, the rage still burning in her eyes but controlled now, channeled. How many ships, Empress? All of them. Every vessel we can spare. I want 200 ships minimum. Include all 5 Imperial dreadnoughts. Show them the full might of the Kralon Empire. The tactical advisor's voice was careful. That is the largest military deployment in 180 years, Empress. Good. Let it be remembered. The day the Kralon Empire erased human arrogance from the galaxy. She looked at Krevnar. You will command the fleet. You lost to them once. You will not lose again. Krevnar stood, saluted. Yes, Empress. How long do I have to prepare? 3 weeks. Gather the ships. Coordinate with all fleet commanders. Plan every detail. I want no mistakes, no surprises, overwhelming force, complete annihilation. As you command. Krevnar left. The throne room emptied. Zarketh sat alone in the darkness, staring at the holographic display, at the human who dared to defeat her warriors. She would make them pay. All of them. Earth, United Nations Military Command. 200 kilometers above Earth's surface, the UN Military Command Station rotated in geosynchronous orbit. It had been built during the Mars Independence War, expanded during the Titan Rebellion. Now it served as the nerve center for humanity's military operations across 73 colonies. In the main briefing room, Ambassador Kira Thorne stood before a wall of screens. Each one showed a different colony world, each one a target, each one vulnerable. Admiral Garrett Calloway stood beside her. Behind them, the Joint Chiefs of Staff, generals and admirals representing every branch of Earth's military. United States, European Federation, Pan-Asian Alliance, African Union, South American Confederation. Every nation that had put aside old rivalries to face a galaxy that didn't care about Earth's internal politics. The president's face filled the main screen. Calling in from the White House Situation Room, her expression was grave. Ambassador Thorne, you've briefed my staff on the Krillon threat. I'm authorizing full military mobilization. But I need to know, can we win? Kira looked at the woman who'd been elected to lead one nation, but now spoke for all of humanity. Madam President, the Krillons are mobilizing the largest military force they've assembled in nearly 2 centuries. Current intelligence suggests 200-plus warships, maybe more. They've never deployed this many ships against a single target before. That's not what I asked, Ambassador. Kira glanced at Admiral Calloway. He gave a slight nod. We can win, but it will cost us. The Krylons have numbers, size, raw power. We have something else. And what's that? Preparation. For 40 years since we first encountered the Galactic Council, we've been planning for this scenario. What happens if we're attacked and the Council refuses to help? We've built weapons they don't know about, developed tactics they've never seen, trained for a war we hoped would never come. She pulled up a holographic display, showed weapon schematics, ship designs, strategic plans. The Krylons think they know us. They've seen our public military reports. They think our technology is primitive. Our ships are slow. Our weapons are outdated. Kira's expression hardened. They're wrong. We've been lying to the galaxy for 4 decades. Admiral Calloway stepped forward. Madam President, Protocol Omega has 3 phases. Phase 1 was New Britannia. We showed them we can fight. Phase 2 is Proxima Station. We show them we can win. Phase 3, he paused. Phase 3 is something we hope we never need. Explain Phase 3. Strategic offensive operations, ma'am. If they keep coming, we don't just defend. We attack. We take the war to their territory. We make them understand that continuing this conflict will cost them everything. The president was quiet for a long moment. That's a significant escalation. They're the ones escalating, ma'am, Kira said. We're just prepared to respond. Very well. Protocol Omega is fully authorized. All phases, all resources. Win this war, Ambassador. General. Whatever it takes. The screen went dark. Kira turned to the Joint Chiefs. You heard the president. Phase 2 begins now. Admiral Calloway will coordinate Proxima Station's defense. I'll be joining him there personally. One of the generals spoke up. Ambassador, with respect, Proxima Station will be the most dangerous place in human space in 3 weeks. You should stay here or return to the Council. Continue diplomatic efforts. The Council has made their position clear, General. Diplomacy is over. Now we fight. And I won't ask our military to risk everything while I hide behind Earth's defenses. If Proxima falls, I fall with it. New Britannia, Memorial Gardens. The gardens had been planted by the first settlers 43 years ago. Earth trees, earth flowers. A reminder of home for people who'd traveled 43 light years to build new lives. Now they served another purpose. Memorial. Kira walked between rows of white markers, each one representing someone who died defending this world. 3 ships lost. 847 casualties, most of them vaporized when their vessels were destroyed. No bodies to bury, just names on stone. She stopped at one marker. Lieutenant Commander Valeria Cross, age 29, United Earth Federation Navy. She kept her promise. A small girl sat on the grass beside the marker. 6 years old, dark hair and pigtails, holding a stuffed animal that looked like it had been loved for years. She was drawing with crayons on a piece of paper. Kira approached slowly. Quietly, the girl looked up. Are you Ambassador Thorne? Her voice was small, uncertain. I am. You must be Emma. The girl nodded. Mommy talked about you. She said you try to keep people safe. Kira knelt down, eye level with the child. Your mommy helped keep 15 million people safe, Emma, including you. She was incredibly brave. I know, they gave me this. Emma held up a medal. the Federation Medal of Valor, the highest military honor. They said she's a hero. She is, the biggest hero I know. Emma looked at the drawing she'd been making. It showed a stick figure in a spaceship, stars around it, a big heart drawn in red crayon. I drew this for Mommy. Grandma says Mommy's in heaven now. Is that true? Kira felt her throat tighten. She'd delivered death notifications before, had stood beside flag-draped coffins, had written letters to families. But looking into this 6-year-old's eyes, seeing the confusion and grief there, was harder than any battle. Your mommy loved you very much, Emma. Everything she did to protect you, to make sure you'd be safe. And because of her, you are safe. Millions of people are safe. She's a hero, and she always will be. Emma was quiet for a moment. Then, are the bad aliens coming back? No, sweetheart, they're not coming back here. Good, because Mommy said she wouldn't let the monsters get me, and Mommy never breaks promises. Kira stayed with Emma for another 10 minutes, met her grandmother, Valeria's mother, a woman who'd lost her daughter but was trying to be strong for her granddaughter. Kira promised them both that Valeria's sacrifice wouldn't be forgotten, that humanity would survive this war. She just hoped she could keep that promise. That evening, Kira stood in the communications center of New Britannia's capital. The room was small, secure, designed for classified transmissions. A holographic image flickered to life. Dr. Lena Thorne, Kira's younger sister, 32 years old, blonde hair pulled back in a practical ponytail, wearing a lab coat covered in alien plant samples. Kira, Lena's smile was bright, genuine. I heard you were on planet. Why didn't you come to the house? I'm only here for a few hours. Needed to attend some memorials, visit some families. Lena's smile faded. I heard about Commander Cross, Maya's teacher. She keeps asking when Lieutenant Commander Cross is coming back to career day. Tell her that Commander Cross is on a new mission, guarding the stars. Lena studied her sister's face. Kira, what's wrong? And don't give me the diplomatic answer. Give me the sister answer. Kira hesitated. Then, the Kralons are coming back. Bigger fleet, more ships. They're targeting Proxima Station. But not here. Not immediately, but Lena, if Proxima falls, they won't stop. They'll hit every colony until we surrender or die. Lena sat down. Can we win? I don't know. We hurt them at New Britannia, but they're bringing everything they have to Proxima. It's going to be the biggest battle humanity's ever fought. Where will you be? Proxima. I leave tomorrow. Kira, you're a diplomat, not a soldier. You should stay on Earth where it's safe. I can't ask others to risk everything while I hide. And if the worst happens, I want to be there. Fighting, not waiting for news light years away. Lena's eyes were wet. You've always been the brave one. Ever since we were kids, always charging into things, never backing down. Dad taught us that. Never show weakness, never give ground. He also taught us never fight a battle you can't win. Kira smiled sadly. Then I guess I'll have to win. They talked for another 20 minutes. About Maya, about Lena's research, about normal things. Sister things, things that reminded Kira why she was fighting, why 847 people had died, why millions more might die before this was over. Family, home, the right to exist without fear. When the call ended, Kira stood alone in the comm center, looking out the window at New Britannia's night sky, stars scattered across darkness. Beautiful, peaceful, for now. 3 weeks later, Proxima Station. The station hung in orbit around Proxima Centauri b, humanity's first extrasolar colony. 8 million people lived here, worked here, built lives here. The station itself was massive, 50 kilometers long, 20 kilometers wide. A city in space, manufacturing centers, shipyards, gardens, schools, everything needed for civilization to thrive. Soon it would be a battlefield. Admiral Calloway stood in the command center. The room was built for war. Tactical displays covered every wall. Officers worked at stations coordinating fleet movements, ship deployments, weapon systems, defense grids. 38 human warships floated in defensive formation around the station. New ships, built in secret over the past decade. They looked like standard destroyers and cruisers. They were anything but. Kira arrived on a fast courier, stepped off the shuttle onto the station's docking bay. She changed from her diplomatic attire to something more practical. Dark gray uniform, military cut, no insignia of rank because she held no military position, but everyone who saw her knew who she was, what she represented. Calloway met her at the airlock. Ambassador, welcome to Proxima. Admiral, status report. They walked through corridors filled with controlled chaos, crew rushing to stations, equipment being moved, the organized case of preparation. 38 ships ready for combat, defense platforms armed and operational. We've seeded the approach vectors with 2,400 mines, nuclear EMP and kinetic, ground-based weapons at maximum power, civilian evacuation complete, 8 million people in hardened shelters deep in the planet. If we lose the orbital battle, they can survive for 6 months underground. And our new toys, loaded and ready, antimatter warheads on every defense platform. Took us 15 years to crack stable antimatter containment. The Krylons have never seen it weaponized. First impact is going to be a hell of a shock. They reached the command center. Kira looked at the tactical display, at the red markers showing estimated Krylon approach vectors. How many ships are they bringing? Latest intelligence says 217, including all 5 Imperial dreadnoughts. It's the largest Krylon military deployment in living memory. 217 against 38. Kira did the math. We're outnumbered nearly 6-1. Yes, ma'am, but we're not planning to fight fair. Kira allowed herself a small smile. Good, neither are they. What's our casualty estimate? Calloway's expression darkened. Optimistic scenario. We lose 60% of our fleet, but hold the station. Realistic scenario, 80% fleet casualties. Station heavily damaged, but intact. Worst case, he didn't finish. Worst case, we all die here. Yes, ma'am. Kira looked at the officers working their stations. Young faces, old faces, every skin color, every nationality. United Earth Federation. Humans who'd put aside every difference to face an enemy that wanted them gone. Admiral, I want to address the station. Every civilian in those shelters. Every soldier on those ships. I want them to know what we're fighting for. And I want them to know we can win. I'll arrange it. An hour later, Kira stood before cameras that would broadcast to every screen on Proxima Station and the planet below. 8 million people watching. 38 ship crews watching. Wondering if they'd survive the next 3 weeks. She didn't read from notes. Didn't need to. She spoke from the heart. People of Proxima, defenders of humanity. My name is Kira Thorne. I'm the ambassador who asked the Galactic Council for help. They refused. They called us a soft species. They said fighting the Krylons was unthinkable. They were wrong. She paused. Let that sink in. 3 weeks ago at New Britannia, we proved they were wrong. 12 Krylon ships burned. The rest fled. For the first time in 400 years, the Krylon Empire tasted defeat. They didn't like it. Now they're coming here with everything they have. 217 warships, the largest fleet they've assembled in nearly 2 centuries. Another pause. They think overwhelming force will break us. They think we'll see their numbers and surrender. They're wrong again, because they don't understand humans. They see our soft skin, our fragile bodies, our lack of claws and scales. They think that makes us weak. Kira's voice hardened. They don't know that for 10,000 years we fought each other, tribe against tribe, nation against nation. We fought with stones and spears, then swords and arrows, then rifles and cannons, then tanks and bombers, then nuclear weapons that could end civilizations. She pulled up images, battle footage from Earth's history, ancient, medieval, modern, Thermopylae, Agincourt, Gettysburg, the Somme, Stalingrad, Iwo Jima, Fallujah. We studied every battle, analyzed every tactic, learned from every defeat. We turned warfare into science and art. By the time we reached space, we had 10,000 years of military knowledge. Every human warrior who ever lived taught us something, and we remembered it all. The images shifted, showed modern human warships, weapon systems, the new technology. For 40 years, we've been preparing for this moment, building weapons in secret, training for war we hoped would never come. The Krylons think our technology is primitive. They're wrong. We've been hiding our true capabilities, waiting, preparing. Kira's expression softened slightly. I won't lie to you. This battle will be hard. We'll lose ships. We'll lose friends. Some of us won't survive. But we will win. Because we're not fighting for conquest. We're not fighting for glory. We're fighting for survival. For our homes, for our families, for the right to exist without fear. Her voice rose. The Krylons wanted war. We gave them war at New Britannia. Now they're bringing their full strength here. And we're going to show them what happens when you threaten humanity. We're going to teach them a lesson they'll never forget. We don't fight because we hate what's in front of us. We fight because we love what's behind us. She straightened, military posture, her father's voice in her head. To every person in those shelters, stay strong. We will protect you. To every crew on those ships, you are the finest warriors humanity has ever produced. Fight hard, fight smart, fight to win. And when this is over, when the Krylons are gone, we'll rebuild, we'll remember, and we'll make sure the galaxy never underestimates humanity again. The broadcast ended. In the command center, silence. Then someone started clapping. Then another. Then the entire room erupted in applause. Calloway approached her. Hell of a speech, Ambassador. Let's hope it's enough. It will be. Morale is everything in war. You just gave them a reason to fight. Now we need to give them the tools to win. They walked to a secure viewing room. Calloway pulled up classified files, showed her weapons schematics, the antimatter warheads, the fusion lances that could channel stellar-level temperatures, the EMP mines that would fry Kraylan ship computers, the cyber warfare package developed by the best hackers humanity had produced. These are our secret weapons, the ones the galaxy doesn't know about. Once we use them, the secret's out. Every species will know we've been lying about our capabilities. Kira nodded. Good, let them know. Let them understand that humans are not prey. We're apex predators who chose to be peaceful. There's a difference. Yes, ma'am, there is. Across the galaxy in the Kraylan assembly, Point Krevnar watched his fleet gather. 217 warships, 5 dreadnoughts each the size of a small city, thousands of fighters, tens of thousands of warriors. Overwhelming force. In his private quarters, he reviewed the battle footage from New Britannia again, studied the human tactics, the ambush, the kamikaze attack, the weapons that shouldn't have worked but did. Something bothered him, something he couldn't quite articulate. He contacted Empress Zarketh via secure channel. Empress, I have concerns about the upcoming operation. Her image appeared, still radiating anger. What concerns, Warlord? The humans at New Britannia. They were prepared. They'd been waiting for 23 days. They had weapons our intelligence didn't predict. Tactics we'd never seen. They weren't improvising. They were executing a plan. Your point, if they planned for New Britannia, they've planned for Proxima. They know we're coming. They're preparing right now, walking into their trap. Zarketh's eyes narrowed. We have 217 ships. Even if they are prepared, they cannot stand against overwhelming force. Perhaps, but Empress, what if overwhelming force isn't enough? What if... Enough. Her roar cut him off. I did not give you the Grand Armada to question orders. You will attack Proxima Station. You will destroy it. You will prove that the Kraylan Empire does not tolerate defiance. Is that clear? Yes, Empress. The channel closed. Krevnar sat in darkness, looking at the fleet assembled outside his window. The largest military force the Kraylan Empire had deployed in his lifetime. He hoped it would be enough, because something deep in his warrior's instinct was screaming a warning. The humans weren't afraid, and that terrified him. Proxima Station, Retaliation, 14 days later. Kira stood in the command center, watching long-range sensors. The Krylon fleet was 3 days out, moving at steady speed, no attempt at stealth, no tricks, just overwhelming power bearing down on them like a hammer. Commander Desmond Holt had arrived from New Britannia, promoted to full captain, given command of the carrier Washington. He approached Kira. Ambassador, fleet is ready, crews are ready, we're as prepared as we'll ever be. Are you afraid, Captain? Wow. Holt considered the question. Terrified, ma'am, but that's good. Fear keeps you sharp, keeps you alive. The moment you stop being afraid in combat is the moment you make mistakes. Your father teach you that. Drill instructor, basic training, best advice I ever got. Kira smiled. Mine was from my father, Air Force Colonel. He said never show weakness, never give ground you don't have to give. Good advice. We'll see if I can follow it. Admiral Calloway joined them. Long-range sensors just picked up their FTL signatures. They'll arrive in 72 hours. Battle will begin shortly after. 72 hours, 3 days. Then everything would change. Kira looked at the tactical display, at the defensive formations, at the brave men and women who would fight and die in those ships, at the 8 million civilians huddled in shelters below, trusting their defenders to keep them safe. She thought of Emma, 6 years old, drawing pictures for her mother who would never come home. She thought of Valeria Cross, who'd turned her ship into a weapon to protect people she'd never met. She thought of 10,000 years of human history, every warrior, every battle, every sacrifice made to protect home and family. Admiral, Kira said quietly, when they arrive, I want to give them one more chance, one more opportunity to turn around and leave, to choose peace. And if they refuse, then we show them what humanity does when cornered. We show them 10,000 years of war. We show them that soft species can have very hard teeth. She turned to face him, and we make damn sure the galaxy never forgets the lesson. The countdown had begun. In 72 hours, the Battle of Proxima Station would decide the fate of humanity. The Krellans were bringing everything they had. So was humanity, and the galaxy was about to learn which mattered more: size or strategy, strength or survival, honor or victory. The humans had already made their choice. Now the Krellans would learn what that choice meant. The storm, the Krellan Grand Armada, dropped out of FTL space like a wall of metal and death. 217 warships, the largest military deployment the Krellan Empire had assembled in 180 years. Each vessel was a city-sized weapon, each crew numbered in the thousands. Together, they represented the accumulated military might of an empire that had never lost a war. Empress Zara Keth's voice echoed through every Krellan ship in the fleet. Warriors of the Krellan Empire, today we erase the stain of New Britannia. Today we show the galaxy what happens when prey animals dare to bare their teeth at true predators. Proxima Station will burn. The humans will learn. Victory or death. Thousands of voices roared in response. Victory or death. The ancient battle cry. Warlord Krevnar stood on the bridge of the dreadnought Eternal Conquest. 3 kilometers long, bristling with weapons. Shields that could withstand direct nuclear strikes. Armor plating half a meter thick. The flagship of the Grand Armada. The Sword of the Empress, his tactical officer reported. Proxima Station confirmed on sensors. Distance 12 million kilometers. Defensive fleet 38 ships. Analysis shows same class vessels as New Britannia. 38 against 217. Krevnar should have felt confident. Should have felt the battle hunger his warriors were expressing. Should have felt the anticipation of victory. Instead, he felt unease. The humans weren't running, weren't evacuating. They were sitting there, waiting, like they'd been waiting at New Britannia. Open a channel to the station. All frequencies. A moment later, a human appeared on the screen. Not the young commander from New Britannia. This was an older human, female. Dark hair pulled back, eyes that had seen things. Ambassador Kira Thorne. The one who'd defied the council, who'd authorized whatever protocol Omega was. She spoke first, her voice calm, almost gentle. Empress Zarketh, Warlord Krevnar. This is Ambassador Kira Thorne of the United Earth Federation. You have one final opportunity. Turn around. Go home. Choose peace over extinction. Zarketh's image appeared beside Krevnar's on the transmission. Split screen. Empress and Warlord facing one human female who stood barely half their height. Extinction. Zarketh's laugh was cruel. Look at your sensors, human. 217 warships. You have 38. We will crush you. We will turn your station into debris. Your people will die. And you dare speak of our extinction. Kira's expression didn't change. I'm trying to save lives, Empress, yours and mine. This battle doesn't need to happen. We can negotiate, find a peaceful solution. No one else needs to die. The time for negotiation ended when you humiliated my warriors at New Britannia. You will surrender unconditionally in 1 hour. Or we will show you no mercy. Then you've made your choice. Kira paused. Let silence hang for a moment. Empress, you can still walk away from this. You really should. Because what's about to happen, you can't imagine it. Your empire has never seen it. And after today, you'll wish you'd listened. Zarketh's roar shook the bridge. 1 hour, then you die. The transmission cut. Krevnar looked at the tactical display, at the 38 human ships arranged in defensive formation around Proxima Station, at the station itself, vulnerable, exposed, an easy target. Too easy. All ships, he ordered, advance, maximum defensive posture. Expect traps, expect deception. These humans are cunning. Do not underestimate them. The Armada moved forward, a wall of metal and fury bearing down on Proxima Station. In the command center, Admiral Calloway watched them come. They're in optimal range. Initiate Phase 1. Across the battlefield, space itself came alive with death. Nuclear fire. 2,400 mines detonated in sequence, carefully placed over 3 weeks of preparation. positioned along every logical approach vector. Each mine was a fusion weapon. Clean, efficient, devastating. The first wave of Kralon ships hit the minefield like a fist hitting a wall of razors. 15 vessels ceased to exist in nuclear fire. Shields overloaded instantly. Armor vaporized. Crews died before they could scream. Ships that had served the Kralon Empire for decades became expanding clouds of radioactive debris in seconds. Second wave mines EMP activation. 8 more Kralon ships suddenly went dark. No explosions, no fire, just darkness. Every computer system fried. Every electrical circuit melted. Life support failed. Weapons offline. Engines dead. The ships drifted. Coffins in space carrying crews who had minutes of air left. 23 Kralon vessels destroyed or disabled in the first 90 seconds. But 194 remained, and they kept coming. Krevnar's voice cut through the chaos. All ships maintain formation. They have spent their mines. Press forward. Bring main weapons to bear. The Armada pushed through the minefield, taking casualties, losing ships, but advancing, overwhelming force, unstoppable momentum. They closed to weapons range. Defense platforms, Calloway ordered. Fire. Humanity's secret weapon revealed itself. Antimatter. The defense platforms surrounding Proxima Station opened fire. Not plasma, not particle beams, not conventional missiles. Antimatter warheads. 500 grams of anti-hydrogen per weapon. Magnetically contained. Stable until impact. Then matter met antimatter, and the universe screamed. 3 Kralon dreadnoughts took direct hits. The largest, most powerful vessels in the Kralon fleet, each one a symbol of imperial might, each one designed to withstand anything the galaxy could throw at them. They didn't explode. They didn't burn. They ceased to exist. The antimatter annihilation was total. Complete. Every atom of matter touched by anti-hydrogen converted instantly to pure energy. Einstein's equation made manifest. E equals mc squared. And c was the speed of light. Squared. The light was blinding. Sensors across the entire battlefield overloaded. Ships had to look away or risk burning out their view screens. The temperature at the point of annihilation rivaled the surface of stars. 3 dreadnoughts. Thousands of Kralon warriors. Gone. Not destroyed, erased from existence. Converted to energy and radiation. On the bridge of eternal conquest, Krevnar stared in horror. What weapon is that? His science officer's claws trembled as he worked his console. Analysis shows matter-antimatter annihilation, Warlord. They're using antimatter as a weapon. No species has ever weaponized antimatter. The containment requirements alone, he couldn't finish. On the eternal victory timbers, Zarketh watched 3 of her 5 dreadnoughts simply cease to exist. Watched the impossible made real. Watched humans, soft, weak, primitive humans, demonstrate technology that made Kralon weapons look like children's toys. All ships' evasive maneuvers, scatter formation. The Armada broke apart. The beautiful battle formation dissolved into chaos. Ships fleeing in every direction, trying to avoid those antimatter weapons, those annihilation warheads that turned matter into light. And that's when the human fleet attacked. 38 warships, each one carrying weapons the Kralons hadn't expected. Railguns that fired tungsten projectiles at 3% the speed of light. Missiles with yields that defied their size. Lasers powered by fusion reactors operating at efficiencies that shouldn't have been possible. The humans didn't fight in formation. They scattered, like they had at New Britannia, attacking from every angle, never staying still, never giving the Kralons a clean target. The battle became case, ship against ship, weapon against weapon, will against will. The UEF cruiser Constitution found itself facing 4 Kralon vessels, outgunned, outmassed, surrounded. Her captain, a woman named Sarah Kim, 43 years old veteran of the Mars War, made a decision. All power to forward railguns. Target the lead cruiser, full salvo. The Constitution fired. 6 tungsten slugs accelerated to relativistic speeds. They hit the Kralon cruiser in rapid succession. The first shot penetrated shields. The second punched through armor. The third through 5th tore through interior decks. The 6th hit the reactor core. The Kralon ship detonated. Hard to port target, Cruiser 2. Captain Kim's voice cut through the chaos. The Constitution pivoted, damaged but defiant. Her railgun cycled again. 3 more slugs. The second Kralon vessel's shields collapsed. Its hull breached. Reactor critical. 2 down. Targeting Cruiser 3 firing. The third Krillon ship tried to evade. Too slow. Constitution's final salvo punched through its engine core. The vessel broke apart. 3 down. But the fourth Krillon vessel had a clear firing solution. Plasma bolts ripped into the Constitution. Shields failed. Hull breached. Decks exposed to vacuum. Fire spread through corridors. Life support failing. Captain Kim's voice echoed through the dying ship. All hands abandon she. A plasma bolt struck the bridge. The transmission cut. The Constitution drifted. Dead. 412 crew members lost. But before she died, she'd taken down 3 Krellin cruisers. Her sacrifice bought time, space, gave other human ships angles of attack. This happened across the battlefield. Human ships trading their lives at 3-to-1 ratios, 4-to-1, sometimes 5-to-1, dying but taking enemies with them. The Krellons had numbers, but the humans had determination, and preparation, and weapons that shouldn't exist. 16 hours into the battle, Krevnar received a report that made his blood freeze. Warlord, our ships are experiencing system failures. Weapons offline. Sensors malfunctioning. Navigation compromised. Battle damage. No, sir. It appears to be a computer virus spreading through our network. Every ship that links its systems for coordinated fire becomes infected. We have 17 vessels completely disabled. Dead in space. Cyber warfare. The humans had weaponized information itself. Found vulnerabilities in Krellon computer systems, exploited them, turned Krellon ships into floating coffins without firing a shot. Then came the psychological warfare. Every Krellon ship began receiving transmissions. Not threats, not demands. History. A calm voice speaking in perfect Krellon language, describing human battles, human wars, human capacity for violence and survival. Thermopylae. 300 Spartans held a pass against 100,000. They all died, but they bought time, bought victory. Alamo, 189 defenders against thousands. They fought to the letdown, never surrendered. Gettysburg, Kirtland, 51,000 casualties in 3 days. We kept fighting. Stalingrad, 2 million dead, city reduced to rubble. We fought over every building, every street, every room. We won. Normandy, we stormed the most fortified coastline in history. We took 50% casualties on some beaches. We kept coming. Hiroshima, we unleashed the atom, killed 100,000 in an instant. Then we did it again at Nagasaki, because we had to, because we would do anything to win. Battle after battle, war after war, 10,000 years of human conflict compressed into brutal, devastating examples. The message was clear. You're fighting a species that has been perfecting warfare since before you had space travel. You're fighting accumulated knowledge from every human warrior who ever lived. You're fighting evolution's most successful killer, and you're losing. Morale across the Krellon fleet began to crack. Warriors who'd never known defeat suddenly understood what it felt like. Ships that had conquered worlds found themselves outmaneuvered by vessels half their size. Weapons designed to shatter planets failed against human tactics and technology. 18 hours into the battle, Admiral Calloway received casualty reports. 34 human ships destroyed, 4 remaining. Proxima Station heavily damaged but intact. 8 million civilians safe in their shelters. Krellon casualties. 89 ships destroyed, 34 crippled and drifting. Every remaining vessel damaged. The humans had lost 90% of their fleet, but they'd broken the back of the Krellon Armada. Empress Zarketh stared at her tactical display, watched her empire's military might being systematically dismantled. Watch the impossible become real. All ships, retreat, fall back to Rally Point Delta. For the second time in Krellon history, their fleet ran. As the remaining Krellon vessels jumped to FTL, Krevnar sat in his command chair, staring at damage reports, at casualty list, at the names of warriors who would never return home. A transmission came through. Ambassador Kira Thorne's face appeared on his screen. She looked exhausted, older. There was smoke behind her, emergency lights flashing. Proxima Station had taken damage, but she was alive, and her voice was steady. Warlord Krevnar, this can end now. No more battles, no more deaths. We can negotiate peace. All you have to do is stop attacking us. Krevnar looked at her, this small human female who'd just orchestrated the greatest military defeat in Krellon history, who'd lost 34 ships but held her station, who'd sacrificed thousands of her people but protected millions. What are you? His voice was barely a whisper. Kira's expression was sad. We're what you forced us to be, warlord. We wanted to be explorers, scientists, artists, diplomats. You made us remember that we're also warriors. And humans are very, very good at being warriors. She paused. This was just defense, warlord. We have weapons we haven't used, capabilities you haven't seen. If you come at us again, we won't just defend. We'll attack. We'll bring the war to you, and you don't want that. Trust me. The transmission ended. Krevinar ordered his ship to jump to FTL. As the stars stretched into lines, he made a decision. He contacted Empress Zarketh via secure channel. Empress, we cannot win this war. 6 weeks later, Captain Desmond Holt commanded the UEF strike force designated Ghost Fleet. 30 ships, fast, heavily armed. Mission, make the Krylons hurt. The first target was the Kel 7 fuel refinery, a massive orbital installation that processed fuel for 60 Krylon warships. Destroy it, and a significant portion of the Krylon fleet couldn't operate. Ghost Fleet dropped out of FTL at the system's edge, completely silent, drifting on momentum. No active sensors, no heat signatures, invisible. They approached the refinery over 3 days, slow, patient, getting into optimal firing position. Then they attacked. 900 autonomous drones launched simultaneously, swarmed the defense platforms, disabled them in 4 minutes. Before the refinery's garrison could respond, human railguns opened fire. 11 minutes and 30 seconds after the attack on Isha began, the Kel 7 refinery was a cloud of expanding debris. Ghost Fleet jumped away before Krylon reinforcements arrived. Elapsed time from FT. L entry to FT. L exit, 3 days, 12 hours, 14 minutes. Krylon fuel production reduced by 40%. Human casualties, 0. This happened across Krylon space. Fast strikes, hit and run, never staying to fight, just destroying infrastructure and disappearing. Fuel depots, communication stations, shipyards, supply dumps. The Krylons had the military power, but they couldn't catch ghosts. On the Krylon homeworld, riots erupted, citizens demanding to know why their mighty military couldn't stop human raiders. Food shortages began. Rationing. The economic strain of total war was crushing an empire that had known only victory for 400 years. Empress Zarketh faced something she'd never experienced: political pressure. Noble houses demanded explanations. Military commanders requested more ships, more resources, more time. Civilians begged for peace. And through it all, Warlord Krevinar's words echoed in her mind: we cannot win this war. 2 months after the Battle of Proxima Station, Kira Thorne addressed an emergency session of the Galactic Council. She'd changed since that first day when she'd stood before them asking for help. Harder, colder, more certain. She presented footage from Proxima. The battle, the casualties, the victory. The council sat in stunned silence. Members of the council, Kira said, when the Krylons threatened us, we asked for help. You refused. You called us a soft species. You said we couldn't win. She looked around the chamber. You were wrong. She pulled up strategic maps, showing human strike forces operating in Krylon territory, showing supply lines cut, infrastructure destroyed, an empire being systematically dismantled. For the first time in 400 years, the Krylon Empire is losing. Not to overwhelming force, not to superior technology, to strategy, to tactics, to determination. They attacked our homes. We defended ourselves. Then we made them understand the cost of aggression. A small species, one that had been conquered by the Krylons 60 years ago, spoke up, their voice trembling. Ambassador Thorne, my people suffered under Krylon occupation for 3 decades. They took our resources, our autonomy, our dignity. We couldn't fight back. We were too weak, but you defeated them. How? Kira's expression softened. We're not stronger than them. We're not more advanced, but we remembered something the galaxy forgot. War isn't about size. It's about will, about refusing to quit, about making victory cost more than defeat. The Krylons never fought anyone who truly fought back. Until us. She paused. And we're willing to help you. Any species that wants protection, wants alliance, wants to stand against aggressors. Humanity will stand with you, not as conquerors, as partners. Within an hour, 12 species requested alliance talks. Within a week, 30. The balance of power in the galaxy shifted. But the war wasn't over. Krey Prime, the final gambit. Intelligence reports indicated a major Krylon fleet defending the moon of Krey Prime, the capital world. Orbital facilities critical to the war effort. If those facilities fell, the Krylon war machine would collapse. Captain Holt proposed a plan. Risky, brilliant, classic deception. Two strike forces, one visible, one hidden. Kira, against Admiral Calloway's advice, embedded herself with the strike force. I won't ask people to risk everything while I watch from safety. The visible force, 30 ships under Holt's command, dropped into the system, headed straight for the moon. Every Krylon sensor saw them coming. Warlord Krevnar, commanding the defense, recognized the ships. The human who'd humiliated his fleet at New Britannia. Finally committing to direct confrontation. He deployed his full defensive force, 60 Krellin warships against 30 human vessels. He had the advantage. This time the humans couldn't run. The forces engaged, ship to ship, close range, brutal combat. The humans fought with desperate ferocity, the Krylons with grim determination. But Krevnar noticed something. The human ships were taking damage, casualties mounting. Yet they kept fighting, kept pushing, like they were buying time. Then his rear sensors lit up. 30 more human ships, emerging from stealth, right on top of the orbital facilities. The real strike force. It was a diversion, Krevnar whispered. The entire battle was a diversion. The facilities never stood a chance. Human weapons tore through unprepared defenses. Manufacturing plants exploded. Supply depots vaporized. 3 half-built warships detonated in their construction berths. Within sight of Cray Prime's surface, the moon burned. 8 billion Krylons looked up at their night sky and saw their military infrastructure burning. Saw their invincible empire revealed as vulnerable. Saw the impossible become real. Riots exploded across the planet. As Ghost Fleet retreated, Holt sent one final transmission. To Krevnar, warrior to warrior. You're a good soldier, warlord. You fight with honor. But honor isn't enough. Tell your empress, next strike won't be on your moon. It'll be on Cray Prime itself. We have weapons we pray we never have to use. Weapons that make antimatter look gentle. End this war. Krevnar sat in his damaged ship, watching the moon burn, watching his empire crumble, and made the hardest decision of his life. He contacted Empress Zarkith, went to her throne room, knelt before her. Empress, we cannot win. They fight for survival, and a species fighting for survival will do anything, use anything, sacrifice anything. We fight with honor. They fight to win, and winning is all that matters. His voice broke. We must surrender. Zarketh looked at her war master, saw defeat in his eyes for the first time, saw truth she didn't want to accept. But outside her window, Cray Prime burned with riots. Her economy collapsed, her military broken, her empire dying. Contact Ambassador Thorne, she whispered. Arrange peace talks. Haven 7, neutral station. The peace conference. The conference room was silent. On one side, Ambassador Kira Thorne, Admiral Calloway, Captain Holt. On the other, Empress Zarketh Warlord, Krevnar Krellin diplomats. High Counselor Thexarin presided as mediator. Zarketh spoke first, her voice heavy with defeat. The Krellon Empire withdraws all territorial claims on human worlds. We cease all military operations. We request only that humanitarian aid reach our blockaded colonies. Kira nodded. Acceptable. Additional terms, reparations for war damages, 40% reduction of your military fleet, human observers in your command structure for 10 years. Those terms are harsh, Krevnar interrupted. We accept. All of them. Zarketh looked at him in shock. Empress, Krevnar said quietly, we lost. Continuing guarantees our destruction. The humans showed restraint. They could have attacked Cray Prime, killed billions. They didn't. Silence, then Holt spoke. Projected a holographic display, weapons platforms around Cray Prime, 400 nuclear warheads, 50 antimatter bombs, 2,000 tungsten rods for kinetic strikes. We had authorization to use these, Holt said. We chose not to. That's the difference between us. The room fell silent. Even the council members looked shocked. Krevnar studied the display, then looked at Kira. How did a species with no natural weapons become so effective at war? Kira pulled up a timeline. Earth's history, 10,000 years of conflict compressed into visual representation. Because we had to, she said softly. Warlord, you said we have no claws. True, but we have intelligence, creativity, necessity. When our ancestors were weak, they built weapons. Stone tools, bronze swords, steel armor, gunpowder, firearms, tanks, Aircraft, nuclear weapons, antimatter. The timeline showed battle after battle. Thermopylae, Cannae, Hastings, Waterloo, Gettysburg, the Somme, Stalingrad, Normandy, Hiroshima. For 10,000 years, we fought each other. We studied every battle, learned from every defeat, built on every victory. We turned warfare into science and art. We didn't want to be good at killing. We had to be, or we'd have died out. She looked at Krevnar. When you attacked us, you weren't fighting just the UEF. You were fighting the accumulated knowledge of every human warrior who ever lived. Every tactic, every strategy, every lesson learned in blood. Krevnar nodded slowly. We were warriors who fought occasionally. You are warriors who learned to live in peace. But the knowledge never left. Exactly. We prefer peace. We truly do. But when survival demands it, we remember everything. The treaty was signed, blockades lifted, humanitarian aid flowed. The Krelon fleet began demobilizing. Human observers took their positions. The war was over. Epilogue. 1 week later. Kira stood before the Galactic Council. This time they listened. The war with the Krellons is over. They surrendered, but I'm not here to celebrate. I'm here to speak about the future. She looked around the chamber. When the Krellons threatened us, we asked for help. You refused, called us soft, said we couldn't win. You were wrong. But I understand. You judged us on appearance. You didn't know what we're capable of. Her voice hardened. Now you know. Humanity can fight. We can fight very well. But the real lesson is this: never threaten us or our allies. If you do, we defend ourselves with everything we have. But come in peace, offer friendship, and you'll find no more loyal ally in the galaxy. 12 species requested alliance talks that day, 30 by week's end. At Arlington National Cemetery's extraterrestrial section, Kira stood before a memorial wall. 16,447 names, including Valeria Cross. Captain Sarah Kim, every soul lost defending humanity. Admiral Calloway joined her. Was it worth it? Kira looked at the names, thought of Emma, of Maya, of 88 million humans across 73 colonies, living, safe, free. They're alive because of these people. Every single one, yes, it was worth it. The galaxy will never see us the same way. Good, let them know. We're not prey, we're not weak, we're humans. And that means something now. Above them, Earth rotated peacefully, blue and green, home to 8 billion souls. And across the galaxy, 73 colonies. Millions of humans building lives, raising families, living without fear. The soft species had taught the galaxy a hard lesson, and no one would forget.